Thank you, Brian, for visiting our campus. So happy that we could finally meet.
The pleasure was all mine. It was great to be here and great to connect finally in person.
And you had a wonderful session with our students. Can you just brief on how the session was?
Well, I think the takeaway that I've gotten from talking to students is that they're all nervous to take the exam. They're all nervous that they're not ready, when so often, if the student has been really studying, they know more than they think they know. A lot of students tend to focus on the little details that they don't fully understand, instead of looking at all of the topics that they do understand and all of the information they do understand. And so I think some students, they want to be 110% certain. And that just doesn't happen. There's always going to be some amount of uncertainty. And so it's trying to help them understand that they know more than they think they know. And if you've been studying, you're ready when you get to the end. We know what's on the exam, we know the content, we prepare for the content, and we're ready, so we just need to go. Very
true. I think that's a wonderful message to everyone, because it's important to understand that you might know more than what you actually feel you know, and I think that's a great message. I think I would also take that message to my students in the future.
And you don't need to know everything. Our goal's not 100%. We'd like it to be, but that's not necessarily a realistic goal. And one thing that I'd say too is that even if there's a section you don't understand perfectly, everyone has a section that's the least favorite. In that section, there are just some fundamental basic terms and concepts. And so even if you don't know the details of hedging and derivatives, if you know what they are, why we have them, you're going to get some of those questions correct. And so even if you're not perfectly comfortable with the section, make certain you know the basics of it. Some of the questions about that section will be those basic questions, and you want to make certain you get those correct.
How was your feedback with the students who have written the exam using the Hock material? How has it been? Because we give Hock material to all our students. So can you just share the experience of the students using those materials?
Well, generally the feedback is that everything that they need is in the material. And so the IMA plays a big role in that. They give us a very detailed syllabus of what the ratios are, what they need to know, which also helps us know what they don't need to know. And so we're able to write the material specifically to the exam. And generally the feedback that we get from the students is that when they come out of taking the actual exam, they say that the actual exam was a little bit easier than our mock exam. And that's my goal, is that they're a little over-prepared. I want them to come out of the exam and say, yep, I'm comfortable, I'm confident, that was what I expected, I was prepared for that. And that is the feedback that we get. And so it's something that we've been doing it long enough. We've taken the feedback. Continuous improvement is something that we take very seriously. And so we're able to make certain that the material is what they need when they go take their exam.
I would appreciate you for one thing. To do something for a year is, most people can do. For 2 years, 5 years, yes. But to do it for 25 years, congratulations on your 25th year. I think that's great, because we understand we have just celebrating our 15 years. So IIC Lakshya has been 15 years, Hock is 25 years. I think, it's
about the same. Yeah.
How has it been, 25 years? Has the student population changed in the mindset, the way they approach, and how have you adapted to the change?
Well, I think the student population has gotten younger. People are starting to go into CMA and other certifications earlier. And so it's a younger population. And also with technology and social media like it is today, they want everything in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And so there's that desire to kind of make it, that social media preparation of an exam. And the challenge is trying to break things down into small enough pieces. I'm not saying unnaturally small, but recognizing that people aren't going to sit down and study for 7 hours. And so making it so that there are topics and ways that study sessions that are 30 minutes and 45 minutes can be useful and effective for the student. And one of the things that we do in our system is we calculate estimated times based on reality. How many pages there are, how many questions there are, not a marketing, we think you can prepare in 2 weeks, but this is a topic, there's content you have to learn. There's pages you need to read, there's content you need to learn, there's questions you need to do. So realistically, how much time should you expect this study unit to take, this topic to take? And I think that manages expectations. And so students are able to kind of plan, I have 30 minutes to study. This is what I can do. This is what I'm going to read. These are the questions I'm going to do. But it's also with a younger student body or younger population, there's not as much experience to draw on. And I know that for a lot of candidates, internal controls in CMA is the least favorite part. There's no formulas, there's no calculations. I can't prove my answer is right or wrong or whatever the case may be. And also, if a student doesn't have a lot of work experience or any work experience, they've never experienced internal controls. And so we have to try to build into the materials that foundation. It's not a review. These students aren't reviewing internal controls, they're not remembering or they're not able to draw a reference to last week at work. And so we need to make certain that that foundational knowledge is in the materials so that even if somebody doesn't have a lot of experience, not only in internal controls, but any topic, when somebody comes without a lot of experience, we're providing that foundation, that base for them to build what they need to know for the exam on top of it.
When you talk about the experience and the youth, the younger population coming into US CMA, there are a lot of I would say learners. I won't call them students who have graduated say 10 years back, 15 years back, working in many parts of the world. Now, we have people mostly in the Middle East, we have people in Africa, we have people, I think Indians are everywhere. And most of them are into accounting. They have done their BCom, MCom, working in certain companies. So what my question is, don't you think this is one good course which will help them to sustain their job or maybe match with the youth?
CMA is a very, very, I would say, I think it's the best foundational certification. And so somebody who's starting their career, somebody who maybe is entering accounting, they have an accounting background, they may have left accounting for some period of time and they're coming back or they're moving into it. And what CMA does is it covers what a business does and the decisions that a business needs to make. And I know that if you're a new hire and you just finished your BCom, your job isn't going to encompass everything that CMA covers. But if you're able to identify how your job and what you're doing relates to the organization as a whole and how that information is being used by the person you give it to, they're going to love you and they're going to promote you because you understand how what you're doing fits into the larger picture. And so somebody who's later in their career as well, this is that ability to demonstrate, I understand the company as a whole. I have 10 years of experience and I know everything there is to know about what I've done. But that's accounting, that's finance. Well, there's other decisions, other components of the organization. And so one of the things that CMA does is it helps a person who has experience in an area understand the whole business. And so when they start getting into meetings that take into account other costs, other discussions about the financial statements, CMA prepares them to participate in those conversations and add value to those conversations, even if they don't have the experience across all of those areas. It gives them the knowledge across what a business does.
Perfect. I think that is the reason we see a lot of working professionals now opting for US CMA, and I think that's the message. That's the right way of looking at it. And second is now everybody is when the youth is joining these courses, when the younger population joins a certification course, obviously the biggest question is job. Is US CMA good enough to get a job? Is there anything that additionally I need to do to get a job? What should be my expectation with respect to a job? So can you put little insights on the job?
Well, the first questions candidates ask is, if I pass CMA, will I get a job? Well, on one hand, the answer is yes, you will, but also there's more to getting a job than passing the exam. You have to pass an interview. You have to sit down with somebody from the company or multiple people from the company. And not only are they looking for somebody with the technical skills, the debits and the credits and the formulas, they're looking for somebody who can communicate. If you know it, but you can't share it, it doesn't do anybody any good. And so they need people who can communicate. They're looking for people that are able to interact with others. And I know sometimes younger people without that experience, that's not their strong suit. That's not something they like to do. And so we have to help them overcome that and recognize that there is an interview. It's not just about debits and credits, but it's those presentation skills, those communication skills, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself. But I think also the thing that I like about CMA is not only does it help you get a job, but more importantly, it helps you keep a job. When you're working, you need to add value to your organization. If you don't add value, it doesn't matter how many certifications you have. They're not going to keep paying you if you're not adding value to the organization. So what we learn in CMA is, as I said, how a business operates. And so if we're able to take that knowledge and apply that to the business situation we're in, we are going to add value. And so the certificate, the letters after your name, help you get the interview and hopefully help you get the job. It demonstrates you have the technical skills. But what you've actually learned, the knowledge that's in CMA, is what helps you do your job well and succeed in your career and get that promotion. And I think sometimes too, new graduates getting their first job, they're hoping for a senior vice president position, maybe vice president. Sometimes the expectations may not really be accurate to the world we live in and the corporate environment that we're in. But I tell them, the first job you get is not your last job. I understand that a generation ago, 2 generations ago, people may have worked one company for all 45 years of their professional career. That's not the case anymore. And so the key is to start working. Even if the job's not the company you wanted, not the position you wanted, not the salary you wanted, start working. Start getting that experience, demonstrating to the company that you add value. And so, without getting into all the numbers, if you wait 3 months to accept the perfect job, you've lost 3 months of salary. That maybe isn't as high, but it's still 3 months of salary. And getting that experience, getting that first job is absolutely critical. It's not going to be your last job. So it may not be perfect, it may not be the company you wanted, but go and do your job well. And those opportunities are going to continue to grow. So just start. It's just like, just take your exam. Yes. You know more than you know, take your exam. It's the start of your career. There is no perfect job. It's not going to come. When there's a job and you're comfortable working for that company, you think they're going to pay you when they're supposed to pay you, start working. 6 months later, if you've done it well, you'll have more opportunities. And part of the way you can show this is when you go to that interview, they ask, what's your experience? Well, if you start, even if it's not your perfect job, in 6 months, you will have 6 months of experience. Nobody can take that away from you. Makes it a lot easier to go and say, hey, I have my BCom, I have my CMA, and here's 6 months of experience. Well, now that company is really looking at you because they know you can function in the corporate world. And so just start. Just take your exam and start working. That perfect job isn't there. Just the job that comes that's close to what you want, start working. Start making that progress.
That's really the great message, start working, don't wait, start working, I think that's good. And one more thing I want to ask is a question I cannot skip in a podcast, it's 2025, the most important 2 letters, A and I. I know you have been listening to these questions. You go to a session, you look at a lot of...
Every question, every session.
Every session, you look at a summit, you look at a conference, AI is always one of the topics.
Yep.
Will CMA certification become, not valuable?
AI will impact the accounting and finance professions, and it will eliminate jobs. But the jobs that are going to be eliminated are not the jobs that we want if we're a CMA. Data entry jobs, clerical jobs, the people that used to input the information and play with the information, that's going to be done by AI. But AI is not making a decision. There are still all of those outside factors that aren't a number. And we talk in CMA, there's quantitative and qualitative. And anybody can calculate the numbers. Anybody can calculate the ratio. That's not difficult. It's the qualitative part. What does this ratio mean? If we do this, what is our competitor going to do? If we do this, what's going to happen in another market? What's going to happen to another product we have? All of those. And maybe somebody thinks someday AI is going to make those decisions. I don't know. Because it's all of those things that we learn from experience that we can't model into a formula. And so we need to know how to use the tools that AI creates. We need to be competent in the Power BI and the Tableau and whatever is new. By the time somebody watches this, there's going to be something new. We need to be able to use those tools. And so AI will change the workplace, absolutely. But if we do what we're supposed to be doing with CMA and building our career, that's not going to impact us because we're the ones using those tools to do our job better, to do our job more quickly. And so in a sense, what CMA is doing is making certain that our job isn't impacted by, well, it isn't lost to AI, it's impacted by AI because we know how to use those tools. The example, when I graduated from university many years ago, I put on my resume that I knew how to use a spreadsheet because not everybody did. But now, if you go to an interview and you don't know how to use Excel, you're not going to get a job. So right now, having that experience and knowing how to use AI might be unusual. 5 years from now, it's not. You're going to have to know those tools. You're going to have to know how to use them, be able to work with them. And CMAs they'll have the knowledge and the foundation to know what AI can do for them. You just need to know how to use those tools to let AI do that.
Correct. I think it's the right way of saying, and I think nobody has to get worried about AI and all that. It's about those who don't adapt. They never survive, whether it is AI or any other two letters. It's always about adapting to the changes, to the environment, and that's the key.
Well, I remember when computers came out, that was going to be the end of word processors. Excel was going to be the end of accountants. Because once Excel existed, we wouldn't need accountants anymore because Excel would do it all. Well, clearly Excel didn't eliminate the accounting or finance professions, but we have to use those tools. And the same, AI is not going to eliminate accountants and finance professionals, but we're going to need to know how to use those tools. There are more tools that allow us to make better decisions with more information. And so we just have to accept it, learn how to use it, and make certain that we're the ones that are using AI to help us do our job, because that's who's going to have the job in the future, the person who can use AI with the knowledge that they have.
I feel more than the two letters A and I, the student should be worried about bringing the three letters to their name, that is CMA.
That's right. Well, what it is CMA gives them actual intelligence that the AI is going to be able to support, and that they're going to be able to use that AI and leverage that AI in their career. But you have to have that actual intelligence yourself to be able to use the AI tools effectively.
I think it's better that students don't get worried about too much. Let's focus now, finish your course, because ultimately, you need a certification. You need a qualification.
Right, and this is an opportunity. If you are a CMA and you embrace the AI tools, you're an early adopter. You're going to be the leader in that process. So it's an opportunity. Anytime there's change, there's uncertainty, but there's also opportunity. And it's still early enough in the development of AI that there's a lot of opportunity. We need to embrace it, accept it, and take on the challenge to be the leaders in what's going to change in the profession going forward.
And how is, you have visited many parts of the world, now you're in Cochin, you visited our campus. How do you feel coming to Lakshya? What is your thoughts about
I love it. It's great here. You have a great team, a great system. It's just a joy and a pleasure to work with you. It's been a great year working with you, and look forward to coming again. Look forward to coming again and talking to your students. You have a great set of students, and it's just in talking with you, we're so similar in how it is that we run the businesses that we run, and it's great, the two of us working together. And I think the students are the great beneficiaries of all of that. And I say, your students have everything they need. They just need to make a decision to go ahead and pass the exam, get that first job, and take control of their career.
Next time I want you to visit our new campus coming up.
I will be happy to do that, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, thank you.
Hoping to visit you very soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.